Okay, so this is a video on how to blind stitch a sleeve cuff up on a t-shirt. So I have a client who loves her shirts cropped, and then I roll the hem on her sleeve and we stitch it back. So the first thing I usually do is I'll iron down the double fold. One thing that happens and determines how thick you can go is the incline or the decrease in the angle from the armpit to the sleeve. So if you can't fit that circumference rolled twice without crinkling it, you have to sort of really go narrower on the entire roll there. And if it's pretty much, nearly straight, you can kind of get a little bit of a bigger one, but typically they're going to be narrower here and wider here. So I'll just pin it back with some regular pins perpendicular. Once I get to sitting, because she's usually got quite the stack, I'll come back and flip these over to the interior with a tiny bit of a lip overlay. And I'd say every couple inches, just enough that, like, for whatever, stretch that you have to do, it doesn't, I'm just trying to make sure this is focused. For whatever stretch that you have to do in order to turn it, so for example here, I'm getting kind of twisted up, there's a bulge here, there's a bulkiness, so I want to make sure that that's evenly spread out between pins, and sometimes you do have to pull a little bit as you go. So I'm going to definitely put one right here where there's a little bit more of a stretch. And essentially what that is it, again, you're taking a smaller circumference of the outside of the sleeve and you're flipping it over into a larger circumference, so you almost have to stretch that fabric over to get it through. And now I'm going to get my red thread and my thin needle. Take a whole arm's length of it. That'll get you safely all the way around the sleeve. These used to take me about 12 minutes a sleeve, which would be about $6, 50 cents a minute, $6 a sleeve. So I've got my knot on the end. I'm going to find that center point at the bottom, and I'm going to go deeper a little bit to bury the knot. And of course I'm going to remove that because it's going to get in my way right away. Alright, so the trick here with this, there's a couple ways to do this obviously. So you're just I'm going to go in, and so there's a tunnel here between the two pieces, these layers of fabric, and then this one is the inner part of the shirt. So I'm going to go through the tunnel. Definitely want to keep wear. See, look, my needle's coming out. So I want to make sure that my needle is buried in it. Oftentimes I'll check it here. And then, not through there. Okay, so it's through the tunnel but not on the other side. Through the tunnel but not on the other side. And then you're just going to snag this bit very lightly. So the majority of the stitch is happening inside. Of course, this is difficult because I'm literally in the dark. Here, my phone is set on the edge of the table. Okay, so we'll get that first one in there, and then hopefully they'll glide through. I'm going to put my pin back on just to keep that nice and safe for the next couple. Okay, so let's get rolling. So you just came out, grabbed up that little bit, and go back in where I came out. Make sure I'm through the tunnel but not outside, because that's going to literally show on the outside. And you're just grabbing that little snag of the t-shirt edge there. Now, the whole point of this is that that little lip is going to cover that stitch connection point, so you won't have to see that. Okay, I can feel with the back of my finger if there's the needle coming out or not too, so that's one technique. that you can use. And you just make your way around the shirt all the way. And then I just double stitch back into that hem right here. Okay, so a couple more. And once you kind of get gliding, it's very simple. You're just coming right out here and grabbing a teeny little dash of that other thread. I've done it the other way around where I'm not quite sure right now, but like, you know, you would start here and come out there, start here and come out there. I prefer this better because for some reason it just glides easier with the motion from one side to the other. So I'm right-handed, so I'm moving to the left. If you're left-handed, you probably will feel more comfortable moving to the right. Okay, and let's see if we can show you one finished one. So that is one finished one here, and underneath you can barely see those little dashes. One last thing I guess I could tell you is that when you cinch, because this is essentially like a blind running stitch where you're carrying the traveling thread is going between those layers so you never see it on the outside. You could, but the running stitch, you know, allows you to cinch it too tight. So like if you did, you know, sometimes the stitch doesn't, you know, even out. One of the two threads is bubbled out and you have to pull it a little bit. Then just make sure to yank and stretch that fabric out just a touch too, so that you do have some give or some stretch to it. If you do it too much, you could have a, you know, a little looseness. So use your own judgment. But that's it.